Okay, so Builders Community Call. It's been a pretty busy 2 weeks, so maybe we can just get started on updates on Copper, mistX, Crucible, and then what's been up to, what the council's been up to, and kind of like what's that process looking like right now. So I'll go ahead and start off. So for Copper, within the last 2 weeks, we've been heads down implementing fees for auctions on Polygon first, and now on mainnet. So we released Polygon fees on Polygon last week. So it's a 2% fee on total raised for auctions. So it's been live for over a week now, but we haven't had a big auction on Polygon since. But we've validated that everything is behaving as expected with some of the kind of tiny auctions on there. And then we, after kind of validating that everything worked fine, we released fees for mainnet. And as of today, I believe we have 3 active auctions. One just started, Rainmaker, that are all going to be part of this like release with the fees. So all auctions that are created going forward will qualify for, or rather will share some of the total raised with Copper as fees. And then since then, we've also been working on expanding our collateral options, and we'll have an announcement on that later today, and then more info in the upcoming days. We'll also post a more detailed breakdown of kind of like how fees work on Copper and what are the implications and the benefits for the Alchemist community. And we are honestly extremely pumped about it, and we hope that the community will as well. So yeah, we still have a really busy kind of few days ahead of us in terms of announcements. So Evan, Sausage Crypto, has been pretty busy on that front, and then also kind of collaborating with a few partners to set everything up for what's coming up. Yeah, so that's it on the Copper front. We also kind of made some minor improvements all around the app, but they're less significant than the fees being turned on and then the collateral options being expanded. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, doesn't seem like it. Cool. Dyer or Don, you guys want to go next?
Sure. So mistX, as everybody has been well aware of, we've been working on V2, and V2 is coming along quite well. We are doing some final testing and changes, and we have a bug list we're working through and just cranking everything so that we can start some testing. So I guess testing with the community next week or the week after. I think we're going to do more internal testing next week and then start a community testing the following week. So we have some swaps going through right now, but
just to highlight, the community it's not open to public. It's going to be builders and seniors and all the internal people in Alchemist. The launch of the beta version to everyone, including the community, will be on early January. the 3rd of January or the 4th of January. We need to be determined. We need to define
Yes.
the final date.
Yeah. So sorry to frame that incorrectly, but like community members, some select community members will be testing. So yeah, we're excited to give out some teasers about mistX v2 in coming weeks, and yeah, that's mainly what we've been focusing on. So if anybody has any questions, feel free.
Oh, looks like there's one question in a queue. Here we go.
All right, God of Knowledge.
I just want to find out, morning, guys. Is it possible to put yourself on the beta list for the testing, or is it already gone?
We do not. I mean, initially, at least this is what we thought about until now. We have planned to have an internal testing between with all the builders and all the people who are developing. So what we're intending to do here is we are intending to do a beta launch early January, so one of the first days of Jan. But this beta launch, definitely you will be included into it. This will be opened, and this will be a release online. And as I've stated before, we plan to put a link there for V1 in case there is any major issue that you discover on V2. So you'll always be able to use V1 back. Having said that, I think that, I mean, we can debate about that, but I think the best way for now is to have an internal testing within Alchemist. And we're going to include as many people as possible, but I really believe that before the launch of the beta, it's going to be too early to open it to public and community.
Okay, understandable.
Yeah, we want to make sure everything is working correctly and end users won't, make any incorrect swaps or there's miscalculations in anything before we have members of the community risking any of their funds.
We also want you to see it in the final state instead of what we say. We say it's better to have this wow effect rather than launching too early and then missing out the launch. So we believe that the launch should occur only when we have a really high quality product. And if we were to open it too early, that would be difficult. We also technically do not really have an option for deciding who's going to be part of it. And if we just share the link to some people, the link can be easily communicated to others. So I think this will take time and this will delay the launch. So I don't think this would be a good idea. So I think we should stick to the plan. It's only in a few weeks anyway. We got two and a half weeks in front of us to complete the final steps of the development, to do the internal testing, and then we're gonna launch this version in beta.
Yeah, that's understandable. Thank you for the quick answers.
Hi, Cryptographic.
How's it going, Don? Hi, everyone. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak. I just had maybe a little bit more of a business-related question. So regarding mistX V2, do we have any projected P&L, profit and loss, anything on fee structures, anything like that we can have a look at? Or is that something the team would be looking to release maybe after the testing period?
That's something that we want to do after. We do not have today any view on balances like cost and earnings. So this is definitely something that we miss and that we need to have. We are even having a discussion at the Alchemist level because some groups have this and some do not have it yet. So we're discussing on how we could build this at the Alchemist level so that everybody uses the same reports and the same formats. Once we've decided this and moved on to this new model, then I think we're going to have a much better way to release this information.
Amazing. That sounds great. I've got one more question. Is there anywhere, I know Chaos Labs has, maybe it's not, specifically mistX V2 related, but I know Chaos Labs is kind of defunct at the moment. I don't know if that's the right word. But I was just wondering, is there anywhere where we could, where maybe like community members could share some features and suggestions for mistX V2 specifically? Or is there no platform for that?
I suppose you could message any one of us individually or in the mistX channel if our DMs are open. So feel free to communicate.
No, I've been doing that, but I mean, what I'm trying to get is maybe slightly more community engagement, especially with like mistX V2. So it's not so much about messaging directly, but maybe having somewhere where the community can kind of get together and learn and come up with some decent suggestions for all our products, not just for mistX V2. Or if there's any plans on doing something like that in the future, that would be great.
Yeah, it's a good idea. We'll say that, so as you all know, the council is being formed these days, and we're going to have a council at some point. So I think this will be driven by the council, and then we should organize something not only for one product, as you said, but for everything in Alchemist. Having said that, there is always a challenge, right, to suggest many features, but to also stick to a roadmap and a plan, because otherwise you keep on focusing on you keep losing focus, and to deliver a product, you need focus, and you need to have the team really having a plan and fully committed to the plan. I mean, that doesn't mean that the plan cannot change. The plan can change, and then we can adapt, and we're very flexible to decide that this should be dropped completely, even if we spend a few weeks on it. But having said that, yeah, this is important, I think, to at the same time find a balance between proposing many new ideas and extracting this information in a smart way, and make sure that the impact on the product deliveries is not is minimal, so that we can also all together release have some releases on time and advance all together.
Yeah, sounds great. I agree. Thanks a lot, Don, Diane, and the rest of the team. Thank you.
But just to make sure that I don't sound negative here, I think this is a great idea, and I think we should do it. And it's very positive to get feedback from anyone who has feedback to give, and constructive criticism and amazing new ideas that we could build. So definitely this is great. And to come back on your DMs cryptographic, many of those are considered highly. Sometimes we just don't have the time to do it, but I agree with you that we need a bit more structure around this. So this is really a good idea, a good proposal.
Thank you. That's encouraging to hear. It's from maybe from my perspective, it's mainly about, obviously I know we don't really talk about price or things like that, but with the current macro situation, I think it's very important to have a very active and engaged core community that can contribute and help throughout even the good times and the bad times per se. We don't want to be in a situation where we fizzle out like what 90% of altcoins do in these circumstances. But thanks again, guys.
Yeah, maybe I can give one update. They don't have any clear information to give, so it's not going to be alpha or anything. But I can give an update that in the background, and we're not really mentioning this now because it's very early, but in the background we're working a lot towards the next steps for mistX. As you've seen in the roadmap, there is a future ideas section at the end of the roadmap. And these days we're having a lot of calls with partners or potential partners, and exploring a lot of possibilities to expand the mistX offering. There are 3 different ways we can expand the mistX offering. The first way is to propose a different way of trading. So as you know, we plan to integrate limit orders soon, which is a different way of trading. The second optic is to retain liquidity or build our own liquidity, and the third optic is to build on different chains. And all of this is not new. All of this is part of the roadmap. is part of the last step. But we are actively working on this to make sure that we can have the best next versions and iterations over the course of next year.
Oh, thanks, Cryptographic. I saw another question, but then I think the user disappeared. So maybe we give it, yeah, keeps popping up. There we go.
Hey guys, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
So, are the limit order, is it planned to have the limit order option launched upon available upon launch, or is that going to be phased in after after V2 launches?
It will be phased in. Sorry, go ahead, Daya.
Yeah, it's currently in the works, and most likely it will be phased in. There is possibility for it to be included, but unlikely. So I would just, my confidence is that it will be phased in.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very, very unlikely.
Okay, cool. As far as the appeal for other users to come to mistX, as opposed to something like Uni or Sushi, what do you think are the incentives for individuals to do that when mistX launches, or what differences do you believe will draw or kind of boost engagement here?
It would be a combination of things. So obviously we have MEV protection, right? So we don't want users getting sandwiched, and they won't do so using mistX, as well as the UI that we will have is very clean and smooth. And then as well as giving users aggregate prices, so prices on Uni or Sushi. And then we also provide the rewards program, so the back running rewards. So if Don, if you wanted to add anything, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean that's the current offering, and this is not something that's going to change with the launch of V2. However, we do, and this is what we're working on now. We do plan to have unique features added compared to some of those platforms. Having said that, for example, on mainnet, it's going to be always difficult for us to compete. I do believe that we have a unique offering with the gamification process that we want to expand. So today it's a redirection of 40% of the value extracted from arbitrage transactions, and this is unique. We are still the only DEX that proposes this in the market. And if you look at the leaderboard, a lot of money is sent back to many users here, so this is quite efficient. And so if we expand the gamification unique feature, we believe that we can really mark a clear difference here. But we do believe that this is only one difference, and we want to add more. And as I was saying before, this is why we're exploring options to add different ways of trading and add more creativity around LPs or add eventually going on other layers as well. As most people know, right, layer 2s and blockchains, competitor of ETH are there today. Their market is expanding. So we also believe that mainnet might not be the full future for DEXs, and that we need to expand on some of those chains or layers.
Hi, sorry, just to build on the previous point, I forgot to ask actually. Will mistX V2 be considering, maybe efficient routing, like possibly routing through CalSwap, as well as the user extractable value option, and then maybe offering the user the best possible route that either gives him the most amount of tokens or the most amount of value returned. due to the opportunity created by his trade, or is this something that's not really in the scope of mistX V2 at the moment?
It's
We're not.
currently not really in the scope of V2. How it may become on the roadmap, but currently it's not. So we're currently focusing on other things, as John and I have been discussing.
Yeah, routing is rather a complex business. I think we've discussed this already, but routing is a complex business, and we will need a full team dedicated only to routing if we were to build anything like this. And it's even more complex when you add layers and blockchains and different liquidity coming from so many and various origins. So we believe that we can do a better job at focusing at aggregation. Now, we are not excluding anything, of course. If we see and believe that at some point that going in this direction would be better, why not? But it will have to be put in front of every single other options that we see in the future, and look at the pros and cons and the cost of each decision that we're making.
Cool, sounds good. Thanks, guys, for the answer.
Thank you.
All right, I don't think there are any other questions for mistX. And we've also had Hypermilla join on behalf of the Crucible team. Joe was having some technical updates, so she'll fill in for that. Hey, Hypermilla.
Hey, yeah, so Joe couldn't join, so I'm filling in for him. So I'm just gonna give some updates, talk about what we've been doing the past few weeks. So we launched the artwork, and immediately we started fixing some small issues that came with the launch. Also worked on many small improvements to the front end. The dev team has been busy with those. And as in terms of bigger changes and more long-term work, we've been working on a roadmap for our team as well. We have a new structure, as Joe had explained in previous calls, and now we're setting up the plan for the months ahead. On the creative side, the creative team, we've been structuring new features for users to interact and engage with the artwork, and we've been listening a lot to your ideas. We received a lot of very good feedback and very good ideas from the community, and we've been listening to all of them and considering them and how we can use them to potentialize what we were already thinking about. So thank you to everyone who provided feedback. And one other update that is cool to mention is that we made progress with OpenSea. Some of you might have already seen that we have a new profile, a much better looking profile there with new images, doesn't look like blank anymore. And we are working actually on a new fresh look for that as kind of like the next step for the Crucible brand. And of course, we're working on the rest of the integration, adding thumbnails, metadata, etc. But this was a great first step. We kind of like took ownership of the page. And that also means that with this new profile and what we have already done, that we'll start receiving revenue from now, from the resale of Crucibles, which is great. One new avenue of revenue for the project. And I guess that's it. That's what I had as updates for today.
Does anyone have any questions for the Crucible team? Okay, so brought Chumperdink on stage. Chumperdink, you're muted. Can't hear you in case you're trying to talk. Okay, well, maybe while they figure out their setup, we can bring back DeFi Bree.
I'm actually doing some writing on Alchemist, and I've had a Crucible for quite a while, but I think I'm still working on understanding the utility of the Crucible. As far as when I send assets to the Crucible, no individuals or no one can see what assets are inside the Crucible on the blockchain, or can they figure it out by looking at transfers from my Ether address into the Crucible?
I wouldn't be the best person to answer the question.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All that data will be on the blockchain. So just like when you're on the Crucible site and it can read all the assets in your Crucible, that data should be accessible by anybody looking at the blockchain.
Okay. As far as intended utility, I guess one thing I'm having a little trouble understanding is what's the. I understand the utility when it comes to providing liquidity, earning rewards. Is there anything I'm missing when it comes to that? I also get that if you're transferring a Crucible with assets on it, then all the assets on the Crucible will move as well. Am I missing anything?
So there is that. You can transfer all your assets that are inside the Crucible at once. And from my understanding, is also there's more security to it, in a sense that you could limit what is possible to do with the tokens inside the wallet, because it's a smart contract wallet and not a normal one. So maybe even some of the other guys could chime in on that. But this is one of the coolest features about being a smart contract wallet, which are not completely realized in the current version, but there is a lot of potential in there for future updates and improvements in the Crucible.
Well, I guess I'm confused on. I get like the basic gist of what smart contracts do, but how does that apply to the Crucible being a smart contract enriched type of wallet? What what's possible? I'm not asking what's being worked on, but why is that appealing?
Well, once again, I'm not the best person to answer that, because I'm not involved in the smart contract development or anything. But the cool thing is that smart contract wallets can be limited you can limit to what a smart wallet can do. So you could, for example, limit what is possible to be done with the funds and add some extra security there. So that, so for example, you create a smart contract wallet that can only do one thing, can only send tokens to one address, or that kind of thing. It's completely programmable, everything that the wallet could do, not just because it's a smart contract, but the Crucible is essentially a wallet inside your wallet. Does that make sense?
And when it comes to being programmable, is the idea that myself would have the capacity to customize what the wallet is capable of doing, or is the idea the Crucible developers would be able to provide additional degrees of functionality, or is it both?
So I don't want to promise anything or to say that we are working on one specific direction or the other, because we're still working on our roadmap and we'll release it. So especially since it not being what my specific team is working on, I don't want to give any impressions that we're working on one of those directions or the other. But both would certainly be possible, from my understanding at least.
And one last question is, I guess I'm wondering if anyone can kind of explain how how you can, just the concept or theory behind how you're able to enter multiple liquidity pools with the same assets. Yeah.
You would like an explanation in more like in technical terms?
No, definitely not technical, but maybe at a high level. Because what I'm thinking here, like just from my conception is, okay, you have assets, you can provide liquidity, a certain exchange or something will use that liquidity for routing trades, whatever they're doing. But where I'm confused is if you're providing liquidity to one entity, um, if you're providing liquidity, I would expect that you can provide liquidity to one entity. I just don't understand how you can provide to more than one. When like how would multiple entities go and split the usage of that liquidity?
So what the Crucible can do, and for example, what is happening now that we launched the CVI program, actually I didn't mention that, but you guys must have seen that we have a new reward program, and there are some others coming soon in the next few weeks. So what happens is that, for example, in this case, you can use the same tokens. So you're actually providing liquidity only once, and in this case, you're providing mistETH, LP, and Uniswap. And what happens is just that the fact that you're providing this liquidity is going to be rewarded by two different programs. So the liquidity is only one. It's just that two different projects or people are rewarding you for the same liquidity. And this is possible because even though your LP tokens they are inside the Crucible, but they're still under your control. So it's a non-custodial. You still have custody of the tokens, but the program is non-custodial, and the tokens are under your control, and you have subscribed them to two different programs. You're being rewarded on two different fronts. Does that make sense?
I think I'm still a little confused. So if so let's say I'm providing, I have the mist, like I'm doing the mistETH liquidity provision. If I wanted to do ETH CVI, I can use, so if let's say I had 10 ETH, or well, ETH amount would be changing based on me providing LP. But let's say I had ETH as well. That ETH would also go to the CVI rewards program. Like I can also set it to go to that program.
Yes, exactly. You include your mistETH LP tokens in the Crucible, and you'll subscribe the same to both programs.
Interesting. So, maybe I'm just bad at comprehending, but since it's non-custodial, is that suggesting that the LP I'm providing is fluid, going back and forth between where it is needed, or am I misunderstanding something?
I can explain this a little bit further if you like. So when you subscribe to the mistETH pool, for example, you get in return mistETH LP tokens. So these LP tokens are representing your share in the mistETH pool. So when you're subscribing to a rewards program, you're not actually subscribing the mist and the ETH. You're subscribing the LP token, which you've got, which represents your share in that pool. And so when you're using that mistETH LP token to subscribe to one rewards program, you're actually keeping control of that LP token, and then you can use that LP token to subscribe to another rewards pool. For example, the Crucible rewards, the Aludel rewards V1 and the V1.5, for example. You can subscribe to both of them with the same LP tokens, but that doesn't mean that you're putting your actual LP, like your mist and your ETH, into two separate pools.
Oh, okay. So the idea is you can. Okay, I think I get it now. Cool.
Yeah, the LP tokens are basically, they represent your ownership of that LP that you've provided on Uniswap. So then you can do as a signal that you have that ownership, so other programs can reward you for having that ownership. like Alchemist is rewarding, that ownership. Now CVI is, and maybe in the future others will as well.
Oh, okay. So the idea behind this is so multiple projects can reward you for your LP provision.
Exactly.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the rewards
that
program
clears
is not the rewards program is not actually utilizing your LP.
Mhm.
You're merely raising your hand and saying, "Hey, I own some of this LP," and the rewards
Okay.
program is saying it is offering you a reward for doing that.
That cleared it up perfectly. Thank you. Okay, gotcha. Sweet. Thank you.
Cool. We also have a couple of other questions here. I'll bring in Tubuck Chuck first and God of Knowledge, and maybe Tubuck Chuck can go first and then God of Knowledge. Or maybe, I guess, God of Knowledge, want to start us off since you're unmuted?
Yeah, thanks for having me up again. I want just this more of a cosmetics with the Book of Alchemy. I noticed that some of the 1000 Crucible has a logo on the bottom, and I wanted to find out if there's any idea to put a logo of the saber-tooth cat on the bottom for those who have a Book of Alchemy.
Sorry, can you repeat it?
Yeah, the Book of Alchemy. That's
Mhm.
the PDF. I was wanted to find out if there's any ideas of actually having the created logo on the bottom of the Crucible, just like how you've got it on the 1000 participant who actually got the first one with the logo of a kind of like an alien.
Mhm.
I just want to know if that would be any idea of having saber-tooth cat logo on there, or maybe putting that inside of the Crucible.
I see. I am not talking to anyone in the Book of Alchemy project, so there's no plans for any kind of collaboration in that as of now. But we would be open to discussing. So if any one of them wants to reach out, then I could talk to them and see what would make sense for us to do as a collaboration.
Yeah, because as you said, it's like a wallet, and it's kind of like everybody's viewing the wallet and seeing what LPs you're in, but also attaching that projects together and showing that maybe it can be added into the Crucible as like a cosmetics, basically.
Yes, definitely. We have some ideas, and we are working on some things that are related to what you're saying. So maybe it would make sense to work on something like that with the Book of Alchemy. I cannot speak for the team of what exactly we're going to do, but I think it's a pretty cool idea. So I don't know if you represent the project in any way?
No, just one of the
Okay.
members who actually's got a book. But then I was looking at the bottom of some of the Crucible, and I noticed a logo there, and I was thinking that maybe saber-tooth cat logo would be a good place, or maybe inside of the Crucible as just cosmetic, really.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's good to know what the community wants and what you guys would like to see in the Crucible. As I said before, I think we have received many very, very good inputs from you guys, so it's something that we'll keep in mind.
Perfect. No, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I brought also CTK on stage, but Tubuck Chuck, I believe, was next.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, great. Well, I just wanted to chime in, just something real quick for DeFi Bry. He was asking about like how you can view what your contents are on your Crucible, and I've come across where somebody suggested, and I do use it myself, where you can take the token address of the address of your Crucible, and then plug it into, say, like Zappify, and that will it'll give you a full breakdown of like your LP and whatever contents you have in there. And you could save that address, in your little address book on Zappify. And yeah, you could see everything there. Just wanted to put that out there just so that, maybe if other people like DeFi Bri, want to have that capability to where they can view the contents and see what's currently in their Crucible aside from, say, using the UI from the website. But that's it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks to Buckchuck, and CTK up next.
Hey there, can everybody hear me okay? Can you guys hear me? Oh,
Yep.
great,
Yes.
great. Okay, sorry. I just switched from my phone to my laptop because I was having a speaker issue. So just to speak to, and I'm sorry, I forgot the name of the speaker. One of my beautiful holders from the Book of Alchemy dropped there, God of Knowledge, I think it was. First of all, so awesome to see that that BOA NFT as your profile. So that was fantastic, and thanks for bringing up what you were talking about. And I know that Hyper and I haven't ever really connected, so I this is no discredit to her at all, but I do want to say that the very thing that God of Knowledge was talking about, I have been talking with Joa and some others on the senior team since September about doing that very thing. We have, in fact, talked about it extensively. And I have particularly been a strong proponent to say, hey, when you release that Crucible art, can't we do something for these people that came in and bought in, and we all gave 50% of our buy-in and our take to the rewards pool. So I just want to make it clear historically that absolutely I have been banging that drum and would love to see that. The answer was, because again, I'm not trying to frustrate anyone or point a finger at anyone, but the answer was, hey, once we roll out the Crucible art, this is something we can revisit. And I would very much like to revisit it because my hope is it's not hard. And I think it's a win-win for everyone. If someone has a Crucible and a Book of Alchemy NFT in their wallet, that they could have some sort of visual shout out. And I'm happy to provide any art or whatever it is, but any sort of functionality that ties the Crucible into those, those OGs that bought in and have been waiting for something like this. Heck yeah, guys, I'd really like to see it happen, and I think it would be a really positive thing. So I just wanted to speak and say that thank you for that idea, God of Knowledge, but it's the very type of thing that I have been talking to the team about. But again, to their credit, they've said, hey, we're not opposed to this at all. Yeah, we're thinking about doing these types of things, but let us roll out the Crucible art. And of course, I was like, yeah, sure. You've got to finish your first initiative. But I do hope that we can have that conversation and come up with something. Again, because I just think it would be a super positive thing. And maybe it can sort of light a path for, I think even Hyper was saying that things like that are, maybe there are even other projects that they want to extend some of that type of, visible utility to. So I wanted to speak to that, and I don't want to interrupt anyone else's flow if there's more reports and things to give. But I want to talk one more time just briefly about the gamification thing before the meeting is over. But I'll turn it back over right now for anything else that needs to be done.
Yeah, maybe we can just take the rest of the
ahead.
questions. Sorry, Hyper. Just finish with the rest of the questions in the queue. We have a few more now. Asataro and Chumperding. So bringing Asataro on stage now.
Yeah, hey guys, this is Asa. Yeah, so I just wanted to quickly respond to the previous question regarding how to let others view the content that is on or inside your Crucible. So if you go to the Crucible website, and then there is, when you were looking at your Crucible, on the left-hand side, there is a place where you can select to share your Crucible on Twitter. So, and within that drop down, you will be able to share with the artwork only or to share the full details. So If you try that, and it will give you a link to your Crucible with full detail. And then if you plug that address into your browser, it will bring you to a page where you will be able to see all the content that is logged inside the Crucible. So that's just trying to respond to your previous one of the guys who raised the question how to see what's inside the Crucible or to share with others or let others know what's inside the Crucible. So that's the option to go as well. Yeah, that's it.
Cool. Thanks, Asa. Hopefully that others find that info helpful. And yeah, we also have Chumperdink again. So we can't hear you. You're so maybe you can speak up. All right. Seems like Chumperdink's still having some issues. Yeah. So maybe CTK, before talking about gamification, we can let Daniel give an update on the state of the council, and then if we have some time, we still have 7 minutes. You can make some points about that.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Ray. So on the council structure, as I'm sure everyone saw, we pushed out the Medium post 6 days ago. And this just really covers a draft of the high-level structure of how the council will be formed and how the council should sort of operate and what their responsibilities are. So if anyone hasn't read it, I really encourage you to take a look. And yeah, provide any feedback. Feedback is really valuable from the community. We really want this to be a community-driven effort on how they would like to see sort of the council structured, how they would like to see the council, their responsibilities in sort of driving and guiding the project. So we're still working through some of the operational specifics and sort of refining the mechanisms of how it all should work to ensure that the incentives are fully aligned and the sort of control makes sense with what our goals are and what the community's goals are. And yeah, the applications have been coming in. So 2 of the council members will be people from the community. So anyone who is interested in being part of the council, take a look at the announcement, and yeah, put your application in. I mean, we need the sort of the best and the brightest people from our community in order to help guide the project. So yeah, we've had a few applications come in now, and we have up until the 31st of December for people to put their applications through. So there's still some time left to sort of think about whether it is the right fit for you, or to sort of encourage other people you know within the project who you feel might be a good fit to put their names forward. On the incubation side of things, we have a few more applications that have come through for incubation within Alchemist. And the goal will be to sort of filter and refine those applications as they come through, so that when the council's formed, one of their first tasks will be reviewing the finalized applications and making some decisions on whether any of those projects and those proposals are sort of fit for funding. And yeah, we'll continue to work with any teams that put applications through in order to help them refine their proposals before that council formation date. And one other quick update on the community side of things is that we're looking to fill another marketing role, as you've probably seen. And we'll be expanding our search, not just within our community, but also with qualified candidates outside of our community. And we'll be putting some ads up on sort of crypto job boards and things like that in order to try and widen our net in order to get as many qualified applicants as we can for that marketing role. But yeah, that is everything sort of from the update from the council and the operations side. So any questions, feel free to jump on board. We have one here from the Zebra. Just welcoming them to the stage now. Hey there.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, great. I just had a quick question about the new reward program. And I see that in order to subscribe, I still need to pay the gas fee. So this is something that I don't understand if it's technically possible in the backend. Could it have been possible to just do that with just signing, instead of like paying the gas, because you already have the LP, and so that was basically my question. Is that technically possible to just sign into a subscription?
Yeah, maybe one of the other people from the Crucible team or one of the other people would be best placed to answer this. I'm not 100% sure on the specifics of how that subscription works from a technical perspective.
So I'm not the best person to talk about the technical perspective as well, but from what I understand, with the current contracts, it's not possible. I wouldn't be able to say if it would be possible in the future.
Okay, got it. Thank you. That was basically something that I was wondering, because the gas price is pretty high barrier for now.
Yeah, unfortunately, gas prices have been a bit crazy recently, so they are really making any on-chain interactions expensive. I know there's a lot of teams working on solutions around this, and hopefully in the future, more off-chain signing for things like this will be possible.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks a lot for the question. We've got one other person in the queue, Tubak Chuck.
Hey guys, I had a question regarding Clockwork Purple 2 design contest.
Looks like we've lost you.
Hello?
Oh, hey, we can hear you again now. Sorry, you cut out for a second.
Oh, okay. So my question was regarding the Clockwork Purple 2 design contest. Winners have already been announced, and just wanted to know when to expect to see the payout for that.
I'm not the one managing those payouts, but if the winners have been announced, then I suspect the payouts will be processed in the next few days. But I'll chat with whoever's handling that internally, and we'll get an update out as soon as possible. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, so it was Church that was handling that? And
yeah, that was Church, but that's now been taken over by the community lead. That will be Stu. So I'll chat with him, and it's just one of those things that's probably still in process with that handover.
I see. Okay, great.
We have Cryptographic has joined again as well.
Hey Daniel, a question for you. So obviously the incubation side is, I think, is probably one of the most important things we're up to. And I was wondering, will there be any kind of like reports on historic, projects that were considered for incubation, just to show the community, what work's kind of been done historically on that front? I think it'd be pretty important for wider Alchemist community to feel as though they are somewhat involved, or at least being updated on how many projects have approached us, or how many people have applied at least.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see any reason why we couldn't put some information like that out. So some of the people that have come forward have requested that they keep their proposals private because they feel that their proposals contain sensitive ideas they wouldn't want other people to see. But there's no reason why we couldn't put together details about the number of proposals and things like that. I think that would be a good idea.
Yeah, no, of course. I'm not. I mean, maybe I didn't communicate the question properly. I don't mean like any in-depth kind of like analytical report about what the idea was and how they want to build it and any specifics. It's more just to demonstrate that we are attracting founder level talent and top developers. Not necessarily that we're going to do something with every single one of them, but just to show that there is that kind of revolving door motion happening. I think that will kind of boost morale as well, and just get people excited that Alchemist still has the ability to draw in some of the smarter people in the space, whether or not we pursue their project with them.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Yeah, we can definitely put some data together around that. Perhaps monthly or every 2 months would probably be appropriate, because some of these applications take a bit of time to sort of get together before they go to the review stage. But yeah, I think that's a really good idea. Thanks a lot for the suggestion.
No worries, man. Thanks a lot for the answer, and look forward to seeing it. Good.
Any other questions on the council/community side?
Don't seem to be any more questions. CTK, maybe if you can keep it kind of brief, given that we're over, you can mention whatever you had on your mind regarding gamification, and then we can close this out.
Yeah, I'll give you just the cliff notes instead of the whole harangue. So I mentioned last time that I felt like, having created a lot of gamification snares, that a narrative was really important. And it was encouraging to hear someone say, yeah, we have that on our radar. Without going into a really beautiful analogy here, the thing to do is to get someone in who actually crafts story. You need that. That's a skill. If you're going to do it, don't softball it in. Get someone in who actually does that. And the second thing is, you need that person now, right? Because you can't do with gamification a bunch of mysterious lead up and then sort of launch it. You have to start releasing narrative and build up and things literally right now. So I just wanted to give those 2 cents. Like, I think it's a wonderful idea. Super excited to hear about the gamification stuff, but you need a person that can craft that, the narrative and story elements, and dovetail it with the efforts. And you need that person soon. Just from my 11 years of experience doing it professionally, that's the way to go. So thank you very much for giving me another chance to talk.
Just a quick reply on this one. I agree. However, we are very tight on budget, and if at the moment, if we have to choose between a developer and somebody who's going to build a narrative, we don't have a choice. We have to hire a developer to build our products. Having said that, if anyone wants to help in these aspects, whether it's you or anyone else, but will not expect to get anything back from it in terms of revenue, we will of course welcome this highly. But yeah, we have very constrained budgets, and we are very careful on how we spend it. Now, in terms of timing, now it might be a bit early because we're really focusing on V2, but early next year, I will totally agree with that. But again, I'm not sure if we're going to have the luxury of having this, at least not if it's someone that we need to onboard and which requires revenue for that one.
All right, thank you. If there are no final questions, I think that's it for our community call. Thank you, everybody, for joining.
I do a final note. Sorry, just to follow up on the question about the payments for the competition. So Stu just sent me a quick message, and those had already been loaded up into the multisig, and they are about to be broadcast now. So those payments should be out in the next 10 minutes or so. So yeah, they were just waiting on a final signature there. And also, don't forget, everyone, to reach out and apply for the council. And also, anyone who feels like they might be a good fit for the marketing role, please send your applications through as well. Yeah, sorry to cut you off there, Ree, just those last couple of points.
Oh, no problem. Thanks, Daniel. And yeah, happy to hear that those winners got their rewards. And yeah, thanks to everybody for joining the call. We'll catch you again in 2 weeks, hopefully with a lot more exciting developments. And yeah, it looks like it's going to be in the new year. our next call. So that's pretty cool. Bye, everybody. Have a good one.
Thanks, everyone. Goodbye.
You guys.
See ya.
Bye bye.
Bye,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you.